Hello, this is Mike from Dimensional Walking, and today we're going to do an interesting subject that I've written about before and talked about before in some presentations I did. So it's got a long title, but let's listen to the title very carefully. I'm going to kind of read it so I don't screw it up. Did the Little Red Diary enlighten us on the reality of UFOs and a worldwide cover-up, a story of high strangeness and speculation? Okay, and a lot of the things I'm going to tell you is speculation. Uh, we don't have proof on some of this stuff, but I believe strongly that a lot of this is true. Okay? So I've written before in the past about Marilyn Monroe and her connection to the world of UFOs. But I did question, did Bobby and Jack Kennedy spill the beans to Maryland? The UFO beans, we'll call them. And was she going to spill the beans to the world? That is the ultimate question here about this little red diary. Okay. Well, Vanity Fair did a great article, a past article, okay, in their magazine, and parts of this little red diary were put in there. Okay. And the word was that the Kennedys did wanted to get rid of this diary or destroy the diary. Okay. And I believe that there was just more in that diary besides their sexual exploits. Okay, as you probably know, it seems like both Bobby and Jack had a relationship with Marilyn Monroe. I don't believe at the same time, but they had this relationship, and I don't think that's a big secret anymore. Uh, but I also believe there was a lot more other secrets in this little red diary that basically would have destroyed the Kennedys. Okay. Even though I personally like, as I call them, the K boys, uh, the Kennedys, the Jack and Bobby, um, because they basically were out there trying to make things better for everybody. And I know they made lots of enemies, but they were out there trying to take a good shot at the political tyranny of the world in many ways. But they did have very large egos. There's no doubt about that, which left them very vulnerable, okay, and created a lot of enemies for them, okay? And their enemies ended up taking quite a bit of advantage against them, okay? And we'll talk a little bit about the enemies in the future. So Marilyn, Bobby, and Jack together carried secrets that could have changed the world if known to the mainstream public. I am truly convinced of this, for there are all because they basically had given all their lives, all three of them, um, to keep their enemies from being exposed. And I believe that the UFO picture was part of these secrets, and Marilyn was about to crack and open the floodgate on the truth. Someone very close to Marilyn, I believe, murdered her. Okay, so the Kennedys had made many enemies, um, but the most powerful of all of them was the military-industrial complex, the companies that were supporting the war machine. Um, and they were very powerful, and they didn't want the Kennedys to be involved with any of their stuff. And they really wanted to, I guess, in the end, they probably had something to do with their demise, the Kennedys, that is. These companies had obtained and used UFO technology in exchange for U.S. citizens, the victimization of U.S. citizens. Okay. And that, of course, is that whole process is a whole nother many, many episodes to talk about, but I think you understand what I'm talking about. And the Kennedys would have been in a position, being a president and attorney general, they would have been in a position to go ahead and obtain this type of material about the UFOs. I mean, most presidents can get it if they really push very hard. They can get some of that really deep dive type information. And I think the Kennedys probably got that information. And for some reason, I'm not really 100% sure, Marilyn also got the information. And, who knows? In a world of sexuality and whatever. A lot of things slip, and obviously, information is passed between people. So, so I believe that the Kennedys at a future time would have alerted the world to this injustice, but Maryland's fragile mental state, was going to do a preemptive strike on the Kennedys' knowledge and secrets, as jaded lovers do to destroy each other. Okay? I mean, there's a motive there. There could be a motive there, obviously. They were, all lovers. So, maybe somebody said something about something by something, and all of a sudden, now we're gonna use some very powerful secrets. And I'm not saying for sure she was going to, but there at least was this perception that she was going to. Of course, Marilyn ended up paying the ultimate price. She lost her life, and the secrets were held. Okay, nothing that we know of. The secrets are let out of Marilyn's world. She died. The secrets are still there. But in the long run, Bobby and John uh, actually died. You know, we know that whole story afterwards. All the conspiracies that were around those two deaths. Who knows? I mean, I always thought some of it did have to do with UFOs. I've always believed that. And I think there's many other people that have written about that to that effect, and books were written, and at least it was mentioned in many books. So I believe the Kennedys were killed. One of the reasons I believe was the UFO things and the secrets that were probably going to be, they were going to tell the world, and they needed to be made an example of. Okay. Because there's always other people around, other advisors and supporters that could have maybe released the secrets to the world. But no UFO stuff seemed to appear in the Vanity Fair article, which was a very in-depth article. Okay, I must tell you. And this article was written in November 2010. So if it had been, it would have confused the strange fairy tale of these two gallant knights and their vulnerable, beautiful princess. Okay? So obviously, Vanity Fair didn't want to go to those places, those strange places, especially like UFOs, and I don't think they wanted to have that in their mix because they sell magazines. So they wanted to look, this gallant knight, princess type environment that they could sell their magazines on. But they did talk about the Little Red Diary, and they did bring up some interesting things. A lot of it had to do with the relationship of the Kennedys and herself. So let me, in closing, the Little Red Diary, if you could only tell us between the lines and the cracks of the pages, it could have been a moment of disclosure. There's no doubt about it. But as they say, could have, would have, and should have. So what do you think? Disclosure or just star-crossed lovers or both? We're probably never going to know, just like we're never going to know who assassinated John Kennedy. Um, you know, just we won't know. We just won't. It's really kind of sad. So, in closing, sleep tight, for we will all awaken to fight another day for these modals of lost opportunities, as I like to say. So, anyways, with all that said, we'll see you in the future. Bye bye.